All right, I've just turned the camera I'm holding on an extension here back to so you can see who I am. And we were given permission by the people in the parking area above me. It's a kind of a nice establishment. And she said, no, you're welcome to park here. Pretty hard to find a place along the water to park. And if you come here in the summer place, you can't even find a place to walk. But there's a lot of enjoyment for other people. I don't live here, so I guess I shouldn't criticize them. But I just want to show you the difference. Like again, I say this wall is over 7 feet high further down. So we've cut out a lot of the swimming area. In other words, we've taken the lake back from itself. I think there are a lot of people that are going to disagree with my comments, but I remember what it used to be like. Okay, and the reason I'm here today is because I'm not going to do any more podcasts from inside my house. It's really confined. I'm kind of sitting in 4 square rooms. You don't get to look around. You don't get to feel like you're outside. So I'm not going to do any more of those. And this one today is on Justice for Arlene. If you want to go up on my site, you can find it, but you can go up on a site called Justice for Arlene. I'm not going to fill in all the other things that have happened up to now. I want to fill in what happened up to the court. When they decided it was going to be in camera, and when it's in camera, you can't talk about anything that happened. I am on a court order, and I have a court order because I wanted part of a transcript of what happened. I felt it was that bad that Judge Clark Burnett couldn't say the things he was saying to me. So I have the order. It's a piece of paper here. I don't know why I'd want to have it, because I said I can't talk about it, duplicate it, copy it. In other words, I can't do anything with it. So what's the point of having it? But this trial was in camera, and I think when you catch up with the other part of it, what's gone on before, and you can find it on wakeupcanada.info, my website. Okay, you can find some of my podcasts on YouTube. Okay, I'm 82 years of age. And I'm gonna have my friend Craig here hand me a binder. And the binder is what was produced in that courtroom that said I cannot talk about it. Okay, you wanna know why? Here's the binder. You've lost me for a minute, okay? I can't hold 3 things at once. This binder contains 22 witnesses and a few other things pertaining to how people can die by being choked and not leave many marks. Thanks, Craig. There's the binder. This is the binder that was handed to the court and to the Crown. I have the other copy, and I'm not allowed to talk about this. Okay, well, somebody's got to talk about it. Okay. In camera, I got a call from K Division, which is this province, Alberta, the RCMP, but at that time I'm living in near Enderby, British Columbia. That's E Division. And I get a call from the K Division, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Staff Sergeant Zakulek, and he starts talking to me about what's in camera and that they're trying to discredit me so that I can't do anything further with this trial. And I said to him, how the hell did you get this? He got it from the Crown Prosecutor's office. It was forwarded to his division. Okay? That, Mrs. McCallum, the Crown Prosecutor, I tried to get removed before this point that we're talking about now, and I couldn't get it done. Well, she kind of stepped past her authority by sending this over to the Mounted Police in Alberta, K Division, to try and discredit me so that I couldn't talk about this thing anymore. I am under a court order. I can be arrested for breach of trust, for putting documents forward that I'm not supposed to. So a judge can say to me clearly, well, Mr. Matheson, just because somebody else broke the law doesn't mean to say you can. Well, what went on in that courtroom and what happened to this family, I can't stay quiet anymore. I have to come forward. Do I think I'll be arrested? Well, they're going to have to return me to British Columbia, and they're going to have to explain what they did that was wrong. And these aren't everyday people like I am. They're crown prosecutors, they're judges. Okay? This issue is about a fellow called Burt Westervelt. That really, I think the bottom line, I could be a little presumption, that murdered his own wife. Okay? She didn't fall out of a canoe, he pushed her out of the canoe. In Lake Country, British Columbia. And that issue right now is sitting on hold. I got my hand upside down. That it's just sitting there doing nothing. How the hell does that happen in our courtrooms? That something just stops, doesn't go any further. Well, all you got to do is look to Quebec right now, and they did a trial without even court dockets or court numbers on it. They can do whatever the hell they want as long as you don't find out, or I don't find out. Is there equality in our court systems? The hell there is. Okay? It's not a question of justice in Canada anymore. It's how much justice you can afford. Is there freedom of speech? Oh, bury that one too, please. All you got to do is look at the current role. We're walking right now on this beach. Oh, it's nice and tidy. It's owned by the seagulls right now. There's a lot of people walking the shoreline, but if you saw it 60-some years ago, you'd really appreciate what the true beauty of our lake should look like. Little fella here chasing a seagull in front of us. Anyways, the 22 people that are on this binder that I gave a copy to the court and to the Crown. And again, we have a new Crown prosecutor, and I'm not sure she's doing anything more, because why would this whole trial be held up and nothing going forward? This death was in 2016. This is 2024. And the Mounted Police refused and did not interview any one of these people in this binder that I have. Because one of their own was involved, a Brian Gately, a superintendent, and I've said on my other podcasts, if you have a complaint and you walk into a police station, they will properly investigate it thoroughly, and if charges are necessary, they'll present them and lay them down. And you will have a successful conclusion to your inquiry. But if it's about a police officer, forget it. Forget it. Nothing's going to get investigated. All you have to do is look around at what's happened to you right now in this country I call Canada, my home. And it's going to continue like this until you people in society out there decide to do something about it. Well, you'll talk about it. You're great talkers. But until it affects you, us as a society personally, you really don't give a damn. And that's what's missing in where I'm living right now. We don't care about one another. That didn't used to happen when I was in uniform. And Clark Burnett would say to me often in court, well, Mr. Matheson, you know how this works. You were a former police officer. I got tired of him saying that. And finally said to him, no, it never happened like that when I was wearing a uniform. And it didn't. People were held accountable. Clark Burnett, I like this guy, but I think right now he's just a fixer. What went on in that courtroom made me sick watching him and Mrs. McCallum. You know, when you see somebody saying, oh, well, I'll help you, you help me. It's kind of that disgusting attitude you watch. Well, unfortunately, I can't describe that attitude I had in my stomach, but I will describe it publicly on a trial. I was also advised by Clark Burnett that I would bear all the costs. This is a criminal prosecution. and a judge tells me I will bear all the costs of the witnesses, flying them over, their accommodation. But the big one, when I said, that's enough. You're going to have to prosecute this yourself. Why the hell do we have court prosecutors, crown prosecutors, defense lawyers? Why are they there if I have to do this by myself? The problem was that they had really put a man on the spot that just owes a little more to honesty. So what do you do, people? Do you trust the law? Do you trust justice? Do you trust the politicians? How about the truth? How about we just find out what the hell is the truth? Is that going to happen in Canada? I doubt it, probably not in my time. But I'm not going to be one that sat down and did nothing about it. You can't fire me anymore, and you can't intimidate me. And when I talk to you in a short while on another podcast, what's happened to me with the mounted police over the last 5 weeks will be enough to make you say, holy hell, they're not doing that to one of their own. Well, I'm not one of their own, and I never will be. Not this group. Back in my time, I didn't work with good police officers, I worked with great police officers. And we were held accountable. Right now, the mounted police can do whatever the hell they want. And until they get caught bad enough at it, they're going to keep doing it. I will lay that out for you in a future podcast, what happened to me over the last 5 weekends. Now, on these 22 witnesses that Clark Burnett kept saying, nope, we don't want that one. Nope, we don't want that one. Nope, we don't want that one. It isn't up to the judge to remove witnesses. It's not his prerogative. It's not even his responsibility, nor to threaten me with the costs. I have to look down every once in a while. I just find the sand so smooth, I'm kind of not sure I'm still on the shoreline here. It's a beautiful afternoon here, like it usually is any time I'm outside. So that's why I want to be outside and do this. Okay, I have a good friend Craig walking with me. He's recording part of it as well. I'm not used to this. I'm not a professional speaker. I know very little about my own technology, but I'm slowly starting to learn because I have to. Again, go up on Justice for Arlene or my website, wakeupcanada.info. As I said, you can't intimidate me and you're not going to fire me. I've had enough of that. Okay? So when are you, the public, going to speak out? There are witnesses here that the mounted police refused to interview. There's a thing called Celebrite. It's a European technology that can remove everything from your phones. And Brian Gately had a 5-year member. Just remember what I said, 5-year member, a constable. I can name him, I know who he is. I want this to get more public, or he's going to go through pure hell. And if he had refused the superintendent to do what he said, his career was over. But what he did say to the superintendent, this is illegal. I'm not supposed to be doing this, and you shouldn't be telling me I have to do this. Well, after pretty near 8 years, about a year ago, Debbie Henning got approval on an investigation that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police broke the law. And that is still sitting there. So who is being held accountable for breaking this law on the Celebrite? Okay? Maybe you might want to ask yourself that, people. Okay? And until you people as a society stand up and do something about it, the mounted police are never going to change. Okay? Neither are any of the 300 police forces in Canada. I said 300. If change doesn't come from within them, they're never going to change. Okay, you have no idea the volume of sexual violence towards our female members, the high rates of suicide, PTSD. But I can't walk from that. I said I'd stay with one subject. And the subject is Justice for Arlene. So maybe you might want to ask yourself, if he has a list of 22 witnesses, why aren't the police investigating it? You know, you have a better chance than anything if you investigate the avenues and issues that are out there. I don't care who you are. But I want to give you an example. I said to Clark Burnett, as he's whittling down these witnesses, I think we're down to about 13 now. He's dropped about 9. And I don't agree with them. It's not up to him to remove the witnesses before a hearing. So I said to him, I wanted to say, humor me, Judge Burnett, humor me, Your Honor. I don't think I said that. And what you can find, there's a court transcript. This is all on tape. It's not going to be removed now. You want to confirm what I'm talking about? Get the transcript. But it's in camera. And you're going to have to go before the judge, the court, to get that. Well, I did that. And everybody said, Don, you're never going to get it. Well, I got it. And the restrictions on what I can do with it, I might as well not have it. So what's going on in our courtrooms behind closed doors? Probably the same thing that's going on by our mounted policemen out in the open. Okay? They cover for one another. They don't give a damn about you. But I've never said all of them, and I never will. Just far too many of them. Anyways, I had said to Clark Burnett, I didn't say humor me, Your Honor. I might have. But I said to him, hypothetically. He really didn't want to do it, but he didn't say no. And I said, hypothetically, Your Honor. And he said, okay, I'll go with that. Hypothetically, I said, think about your sister, if you have one. And she's in the car with Burt Westervelt, the accused, who was in the canoe when he said his wife fell out of the canoe. She didn't fall out. And I said, so, your sister, Your Honor. And I said, hypothetically. I said that 3 times, and my transcript will show that. Your transcript will show that. Because I can't produce that transcript. And what I'm doing right now is a breach of trust. And I have no doubt I could be arrested, but I'm prepared to let that happen because of what was covered up in that courtroom and has yet to come forward. Burt Westervelt has never been cross-examined by a lawyer, an opposing lawyer, a Crown prosecutor. And if this continues to be covered up, he's never going to be. Long story short, what I said about his sister, hypothetically, she is in the car with Burt Westervelt, the person that was charged with second-degree murder of his wife. And how did that all disappear? Bing, it's gone. How did that all disappear? And I said to His Honor, Clark Burnett, your sister's in a car. They're coming up to a kind of a hill and a curve. And your sister has said something to Burt Westervelt. And as she turns to look at him again, he punches her straight in the face. Straight in the face. She grabs her purse. As it slows down near a hill, she jumps out of the car, runs up the hill, and Burt Westervelt doesn't see her anymore. She was terrified of him. I use that as hypothetical, but one of the ladies that wants to come forward will state that that actually happened. The only way I could get it in was to make it a hypothetical thing with His Honor, Clark Burnett. But it actually happened. So why would he reduce that person as a witness, and a very key witness? And I can remember saying to Clark Burnett, well, some of these witnesses had flown in at their own expense, spent hotels, food, And Clark Burnett said to me, "I'm not hearing them, Mr. Matheson. That's not what this is about today." And I said to him, "Well, Your Honor, you have nothing more on the docket. These witnesses are here." "Doesn't matter," he said, "I'm not hearing them." And I said, "Well, we can lose witnesses. They could get sick and some of them could even die." Well, one key witness did die. A beautiful young lady called Maureen Wint, who herself at one time was a coroner. And they don't want these witnesses to come forward because the coroner's office messed this whole trial up, this whole investigation. The Crown Prosecutor's office messed it up. Members of the politics, David Eby, he was Attorney General at the time. He was involved in a real scandal at that time. Oh heavens, is that why they tossed mine out? The informations I laid, I'm not going to go through those again. They're already on a prior podcast. I have a limited time here, and what limits my time is that I'm not doing any more hour and 20-minute or 30-minute podcasts, because most of you people have the attention span of about 3 minutes, okay, unless it affects you. So I'm going to try and keep this down low, restrict the time I'm doing this. But this witness binder that I have is really key. And about 2.5 months ago, I interviewed 2 of these people over again. And what they want to talk about now would convict Burt Westervelt all on their own. So why are the police not interviewing these people? Okay? Because it hasn't affected them. Okay, it's pretty tough to talk about something real serious when it's easier for me because the wind is stopped almost motionless. It is a gorgeous day out here on the lake, Sylvan Lake, Alberta, which for some of you don't know is just a little west of Red Deer, Alberta, in central Alberta. How many people are dealing with something similar like this? They can't get answers from the police or the court. I am probably going to get arrested. And the court, again, I've already said it, will say, "Well, Mr. Matheson, just because somebody else," that's like saying somebody jumped off a bridge, so you do it behind them. No, there's no comparison in that. Okay? As a former member of the Mountain Police, I was aware of what was happening in that courtroom, and probably pretty close to right now, remembering it. I wanted to break down and cry in that courtroom, but I wouldn't let it happen. An innocent woman had been murdered, and because a mounted police officer of a high rank had been a partner, a drug partner. And I have the statements from the people that taught them how to do this. So why are the mounted police not investigating these witnesses? They had a sergeant, senior sergeant in Kelowna at the time. They tried to blame him for all this, and he almost took his own life over it. All right, so I'm going to walk this beach by myself and Craig. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the afternoon. So it's, again, Don Matheson, former member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, stepping off right now. So stay well, take care. That's not a request, that's an order.